Okay, so today we are going to be taking a look at some of the things you can do with batch scripting. Um, Much like Linux, Windows-based computers can actually pretty much do anything from the command line, especially when it comes to implementing basic OS hardening principles like disabling the guest account, or enabling the firewall, or Windows updates, or even configuring user accounts. Um, Batch scripting allows us to streamline this process of OS hardening by compiling a bunch of these Windows commands together, as well as execute them. And this helps because it saves a lot of time during a competition. You know, you're not trying to go in and out of 9 different dialogues trying to do very specific tasks. Um, you can also use batch scripting to put together your own basic little programs that make certain required tasks like file surfing through all the user accounts a lot easier. So we're going to go ahead and get started and just kind of take a look at some of the basic fundamentals of batch scripting and how you can use it and apply it to script developing for CyberPatriot. Okay, so let's just kind of jump into something really basic, just to kind of get a demonstration, get a feel for what to do and how to start scripting. So what we're going to do is we're going to first start off by showing how kind of some of the syntax works by basically just making a program that all it really does is open, let's say, Paint, for example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up just a simple text editor. Notepad works just fine. Pull that open here. You can use Notepad++ or whatever you like to use. Honestly, batch scripting is so basic, Notepad just works. So I'm just going to use that. Okay. When scripting, a lot of people tend to start off with the command @echo-off. And essentially what this does is that when you run batch scripting or when you run Windows commands, it'll pop up a little command prompt window and actually display the command that you're doing. And all this simply does is it just prevents it from showing. It just kind of keeps things simple, keep things neat. So a lot of people tend to do that. It just doesn't show the command that's going through. So now we're just going to go ahead and get started. So in order to start a program, you're going to want to type the word start. And now, say we want to open up Paint, we need to put in the complete file location. So I'm just going to hit open file location here after I right click. You might need to go into properties and find it that way. But okay, so we're going to come up to the address bar here and right click on System32. We're going to hit copy address as text. I'm going to just kind of go over one, just Control V, paste it in there. And we also need to put in the name of the program that was in that directory. So we see here it is labeled as MS Paint. So we're just going to go ahead and type that in. Alright. And then we're going to save it. Now when you save, when you're making a batch program, I'm just going to go ahead and save it on the desktop here. You're going to want to give the program a name, so I'm just going to put Paint Opener. I think that's right. Okay. And now you're going to want to give it the file extension .bat, and this basically just signifies that it is a batch file. So we're going to go ahead and save it. I'm going to close this. You should get something like this. It's has a little program icon here. Just double click it to run, and you'll see it executes and it successfully opens Paint. Alright. So now let's kind of do something useful with batch scripting, something that's more applicable to what we do during a CyberPatriot competition. So let's go ahead and open up Notepad again. And we're going to start off with something simple like disabling the guest account. So we're going to put in the command @echo-off. And now I'm going to show you some of the kind of cool things that you can do with batch scripting as far as configuring the command prompt window when the program executes. You can actually give the little command prompt window a title up in the title bar just to kind of show you what is happening. So in order to do that, I'm going to type the word title, and then I'm just going to simply put in whatever I want it to say. So disable guest account. Alright, that's it. Hit next. Okay, so when it comes to batch scripting, whenever you want to configure a user account or do anything that changes an account, so like disabling an account, enabling an account, deleting an account, renaming an account, changing user privilege like admin or standard mode, you're going to want to use the command net user. And specifically, when we want to disable an account like the guest account, we're going to put in the account that we want to change, so the guest account. You can do /active, and then we're going to put in a colon. We're not going to put a space, and we're just going to write no. And this is the command for disabling the guest account that you can put in the command prompt. So I'm going to add one more line to this, and this is the word pause. Now all this simply does is, as you may have noticed with the paint program we put together before, when the command ran, it popped up a little command prompt window at first, but then it kind of killed itself once the program finished running. All this simply does is it just tells that command prompt to stick around just to kind of confirm that I know what's happening, and it requires me to hit any key before it'll just end the command prompt window again. So that's all it really does. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and save this program again. I'm going to click Save As. I'm just going to save it on the desktop again. I'm just going to call it disable guest account .bat, our batch file extension. We're going to click Save. Now, one important thing to keep in mind with batch files is that whenever you're editing a certain Windows component, or you're changing something within the operating system, a lot of the times you need to be in admin mode to be able to do that. So whenever you're going to run your batch programs, be sure to right click and run as admin. But before I do that, I just want to show you real quick. If I pop on over to the MMC here, you'll notice that my guest account right now is currently enabled. I right click on it. It doesn't have this check mark next to it. It doesn't have the little downward arrow signifying that it's disabled. So I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay, so I'm going to right click on my batch program, run as admin. It's just going to pop up. It immediately says the command completed successfully, and I'm just going to hit any key, as you notice. And if you notice up here in the title bar, it says disable guest account, as in the title that we gave it. So we're just going to hit that, and we'll notice if we come over here and refresh, let's see here, refresh, our guest account is now disabled. Okay, so let's go ahead and do another basic task that you can do with batch scripting. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that there. I'm just going to close these here. Alright, let's pull up Notepad again. Going to enter in my add echo off command. So what we're going to do now is we're going to enable the firewall. So I'm going to go ahead and write a title for that. Just enable firewall. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the command to do so. If you type in net sh adv firewall, and there's some commands, Windows commands, that you can do for just like configuring basic firewall, but I prefer that you use the adv command because that just kind of makes sure that everything is set and everything is turned on. Okay, I'm going to type set, and then all profiles. This makes sure that this is being acted on every single one of the profiles or user accounts on the computer. State on. So this right here is just the basic Windows command for turning on the firewall for all users on the machine. Just gonna hit right pause again, just to kind of tell me to, hey, keep the command prompt window open once you finish running the Windows command. Alright, I'm gonna save it on the desktop again. Just gonna call it firewall this time. .bat, as always, save. Okay. So if I come down here now and I click on my firewall, you can see that everything is off. I'm unprotected, on both private networks, public networks, whatever. And it's telling me it wants me to use recommended settings, and turn it on. Okay. So now, if I right-click, run as admin, it does it, and you can see that it just turned on my firewall, turned everything on, and we are good to go. Press any key to continue, and that is that. Alright, so I'm going to just minimize this here and delete that. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to show you you can do with Windows commands and batch scripting is actually edit registry keys, which can be very useful when dealing with things like automatically enabling updates for Windows, or doing things like showing you hidden files and folders. And so I'm going to just go ahead and show you how to enable automatic updates by editing the registry key. And I need to warn you, I need you guys to keep in mind that, as you know, playing around with the registry keys or modifying them, you got to be sure that you know what you're doing when it comes to this, because it is dangerous when you go to modify these keys. If you do something incorrectly, you can really screw up your system. So I'm just going to go ahead and give you the exact key that is necessary for enabling automatic updates. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly give this a title here, enable updates. Alright, so there's one more thing I want to show you that you can do as far as just kind of making your script here a little bit, user-friendly, readable to someone who, isn't really familiar too much with scripting, or if you come back to your script after a while and you want to know what you're doing. In most programming languages, you can add comments, which kind of, just describe what a certain command does. And you can actually do the same thing here with scripting. If you type in rem, you can put in a little comment like, this registry key enables updates. And basically what it does is it will not echo that little string there when you go to run the batch file. And it's just something for when you come back to editing a file, you can see and you know what you're doing. Alright, so when it comes to registry keys, you're going to type in reg, short for registry. Alright, we're going to add a key, and we're going to want to put in the path of that key. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in quotes, and the key that we are editing is in hkey underscore local underscore machine slash software slash Microsoft. Whoops. Microsoft. Let's see here. Windows slash current version slash Windows update. Oh, whoops, I put in a pipe there. And I did that over here too. Yep, that happens from time to time. I'm just kind of reading off this key here that I have open in another notepad file on my other screen here, so I haven't been exactly paying attention. But anyways, current version, Windows update slash auto. Now we're going to do a space update, and then we're going to just end the quote there. Okay, now we're going to add some switches that tell it what we want it to do. So we're going to do slash v AU, then options, all in caps except for options, /T, reg underscore dword /D, and then we're going to put in the number 4, and this is basically a specific option. You know how when you go to set Windows updates where it gives you a list of things like download updates, but let me choose whether or not to install them. This value here, this 4, indicates that we want the option download and install updates whenever available, so the most secure option. Then we're going to do /F, and that is the entire registry key that we are going to be doing. So I'm going to do pause. All right, I'm going to do save as, Windows updates .bat, save it on the desktop here. All right, so I'm going to minimize that, and if we pull up this here, you can see I have it set to never check for updates, not recommended, again as the switches where you can download updates, but let me choose to whether or not install them. My program should select this one, install updates automatically. So we're just going to minimize that, right click, run as admin again, and it says the operation has completed successfully. Press NET to continue. Alrighty, now let me pull up my thing here and just refresh it. Or I'm sorry, this one is kind of finicky. You actually have to go back into the control panel and search for updates to see that yes, it has been implemented. I'm not entirely sure why refreshing doesn't update it automatically, but if you do close the control panel window and open it back up again, you will see that installing automated updates has been selected, and we are good to go there. Alright. So now that we've gone ahead and done things like disable the guest account, install automatic updates, and enable the firewall, we've kind of all just done these things one at a time in a bunch of different scripts together. So let's just go ahead and put it all together in one script and see how that works. So I'm just going to go ahead here and set this to never check for updates. Apply that. I'm going to go over here and turn my firewall off completely. Okay, so now nothing's being protected there. And I'm going to go ahead and, whoops, that's firewall again. I'm going to go ahead and re-enable my guest account. Alright. Yep. Cool. So I'm gonna actually keep this handy so I can copy that key again later, so you guys don't have to painfully watch me sit through it all. Just pull that up there. I'm just gonna kind of resize it here to keep that handy, and I'm going to pull open my firewall one as well. Alright. So now I'm going to go ahead and just put it all together. Open up my notepad here. Gotta go off per usual. And I'm just going to call this, give it a title of CyberPatriot script. Something simple like that. Just move this a little bit here. Alright. So this is, again, this is where the comments really come into play here, now that you're having multiple things and things can get confusing as to what you want or what you're looking at. So first thing what we're going to do is disable the guest account. So as you remember before, we put in our net user command, guest / active, and we're going to do nope. Alright, and then to add the next thing, I'm going to do rem firewall. So we're going to turn on our firewall here. So turn on firewall, and I'm just going to go ahead and I have this here, so I'm just going to go ahead and do copy, paste. Alright, and turn on automatic updates. And I'm just going to take this big ol' registry key that I made earlier and just copy that and paste. Alright, I'm going to do pause, and that's typically how my scripts work when it comes to CyberPatriot. Is I just basically have a bunch of different commands all compiled together. I'm going to go ahead and save this on the desktop. Just going to call it something generic like script.bat. Save. Okay, just going to minimize all these. And as you saw before, guest account is enabled. Firewall is also disabled, and Windows Updates is disabled, but you know, I don't really need to show you that again. Okay, so I'm going to pull this out here, run as admin, and boom, everything is done. Guest account, if I go ahead and click and refresh here, disabled. Firewall, also enabled. If I pull up automatic updates, here we go. Boom, good to go. So we did 3 things that pretty much always guarantee you will earn points in a CyberPatriot competition. We did 3 things in the matter of 20 seconds. Not even. It was actually, I don't even know why I said 20 seconds. It was pretty much instantaneous that 3 things were pretty much bada boom, bada bang, done. So that's really the advantage of scripting, is that anything that you know is going to get you points in a CyberPatriot competition, just throw it all in a script, have it run, bam, you have 30 points in a matter of 3 seconds. So I guess the thing to take away from all this is that you can pretty much do so many different things with simple Windows commands and batch scripting. You can change account settings. You can set and configure the firewall. You can apply updates. You can change services, like you can start and stop services automatically. You know, the shares, like sharing of the C:, you can stop that. There's a lot of different things, and I encourage you to kind of go out and Google it, put together your own scripts. Now that you have the basics and understanding on how to do it, just go out and research how to do it. So I kind of want to jump into now and showing you some of the programming elements that you can also do with batch scripting to make your life a little easier here. So I'm just going to kind of delete that and delete that. Now, I've had these 2 programs up here the whole time. You know, you might have been wondering what the heck are those, but I just want to kind of show you some ways that batch scripting can be their own little simple user programs as well and be really helpful. So I'm going to start off here with this program I have called Find Extension. And it's a little batch program that I put together and converted into an executable. And essentially what it does is, as you know, in a lot of CyberPatriot competitions, it gives you the instructions, make sure there aren't any media files on the computers or throughout all the user accounts. So what I've got here is, I just go ahead and pull up my thing. I've got a little picture here, open that up. It's me with some swag, it's pretty nice. Got my CyberPatriot certificate from this year. I like it, it's a pretty nice photo. But if this was a CyberPatriot competition, this photo would be illegal. And so I'm going to just quickly right click this here, and you'll notice that it's a simple JPEG file. Okay, so this is where this little batch program that I put together comes in handy. If I run it, the first thing it asks me to do is enter a path to search. And this is what this is going to do, is it's going to go through all of the accounts that I tell it to search for. If I put in the thing saying C:/users, basically, okay, what it does is it's going to go through and look through all my user accounts, now that I've specified users, and see if there's any files of a specific extension type that it wants me to specify. So in order to do that, you put in star dot extension type, and you can put in whatever you want to. You can do multiples as long as you do comments, so like star dot wave, star dot mp3, star dot png, whatever, so on and so forth. Hit enter. Now it's asking me to create a report name. One of the things that you can actually do with Windows commands is generate your own reports, your own text reports. And I'll show you how to do some of this stuff later on. So I'm going to give it a little name here. I'm going to do report.txt. Now it's asking me where I want to put that report. Okay, so I want to put that on my desktop here. So I'm just going to put it on c:/users /ejme. I believe that is my account name. Yeah, I'm in a virtual machines, and I just kind of made that up on the spot. Alright, and then desktop. So now I hit enter, and it just goes through and it creates a little report for me that shows me all the PNG files and all the little JPEG files, MP3 files, whatever I requested, WAV files, and it gives me a directory of where in the path that it found it. So I get all these here. A lot of this stuff is just Microsoft stuff and is fine, but if I come down to my user here, scroll down a little bit, so it found my pictures directory, and it found my lol.jpg, but it also found another file, lolwhat.jpg. I don't see that file here. Well, guess what? I made that a hidden file. If you click on view and you go into, I believe, options, you go to view, show hidden files, folders, and drives, hit that and apply that. Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, there's that. That's beautiful. But okay, so the point is, it found these files. It found not only the ones that were there and just, you know, exposed for anyone to see. I had configured it in a way to search for hidden files as well. So you can actually do a lot of cool things with just simple batch programming. And this actually made my life a lot easier during these competitions when it asks for finding certain media files or certain files of certain types. So like if you were crazy and you wanted to generate a list of exes to see if there's any programs that shouldn't be there, you could do that too as well. So that's just kind of an example of that program that I have there. Another little program that I put together is this little user manager program. And I'll just kind of show you what it is here. Is basically if I run this as admin. So you'll notice that I have put together my own little program here that kind of just keeps track of different user account options that you can do. Like change an account password or an account name or enable account or disable account, whatever you want to do. You can just go ahead and do this here, and it just kind of puts everything all in one place and makes it easy. So let's say for whatever reason I wanted to enable the guest account. I can hit 4, hit enter, and I'm just going to type in guest, and that happened. So now that guest account, if I pull this up here and refresh, it's re-enabled again. Again, I can go ahead and just simply disable that here and do that, and you'll see that it's been disabled. So yeah, it basically, I created my own little program that keeps track of this type of thing, and yeah, that's just kind of something that you can do with these programs. So I'm going to teach you some more of the coding elements behind batch scripting and just kind of show you how you can make more complex programs, but not really. It's not too bad. Alright. Okay. So when it comes to making these programs that go out and find certain file types or goes and edits specified user accounts, basically what's happening is we need to be able to have the script request certain input or certain information from the user. So whether it is a certain file extension or a path to put a document that generates a report, or to specify a certain account that needs to be edited, the batch script needs to be able to interact with the user and ask for certain information. So this kind of features a little bit more different programming implements. It's still very basic, especially when it comes to scripting, but I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so I'm going to start off with my add echo off command per usual. And we're going to make a very basic program here. We're going to make a program that gives the user a list of 4 different fruits, and it's going to ask them which fruit do they like. And that user is going to have to input the name of the fruit, and then afterwards it's going to generate a report saying, cool, you chose this fruit. So let's go ahead and do that, and I'll show you how it's done. So I'm going to go ahead and put a title, and I'm going to call that choose a fruit. Something simple, something basic. Alright, now I'm going to show you kind of how, as you notice in my user manager, I kind of made it so it looked like a little program list of things that you can do. So I'm going to show you how to kind of make your program look a little fancy or whatever. So I'm going to first of all introduce the idea of classes. Now when you're programming in batch script, you can have a set of different classes or a set of different like subclasses that the program can jump back and forth between depending on a certain option that the user provides. So I'm going to create a general main class here. I'm going to call it main. And in order to do that, you're going to hit colon and then just give it a name. The next thing I'm going to do to kind of pretty it up is put in CLS. And basically what this does is it just clears the screen. It just wipes out the command prompt window, so it's starting nice and fresh. The next thing I'm going to do is type echo, and essentially what the echo command does is it's just going to display whatever text you specify, whatever you want. So I'm going to do echo choose a fruit. Doesn't have to be in caps, but you know, it looks nice. And then I'm going to do echo again, and I'm going to draw a nice little line underneath it to, you know, pretty it up a little bit. Now the next thing you can do with the echo command is do echo dot or echo period. And all that does is it just says to skip a line. So now I'm going to do echo our first fruit, which is apple. Echo period to go ahead and skip a space. Echo banana. Echo period, echo orange, echo period, echo grape. Okay, so now I have my list of fruits. Now I'm just going to go ahead and do a couple of skips or spaces, just to kind of keep things neat. Alright. So now we need to ask the user to put in their favorite fruit, or just kind of provide information for the batch script to be able to work off that. And so if you were doing like a find extension program, this would be where they enter in the specified path to search for file extensions, or to put in the file extensions that you want being searched, or to put the location of the generated report, whatever. So in order to do this, you're going to type set /p. This is saying it's going to request the user for information. Now we're going to make a variable. In order to do that, you're going to hit colon and then create a variable name. In this case, I'm going to call it option. So option. Now we're going to set it equal to, you can put in a little string that kind of tells the user what to do. So I'm going to write enter the fruit name of your choice. And then I'm going to put a little colon there, put a space, and then I'm going to end it in quotes. Everything should be in quotes there. And that's just going to display that little string of text there and just kind of signify to the user, oh, that's where I need to put in the name of the fruit that I want. So now is here we kind of go into if-then clauses. And yes, batch files can do if-then clauses. It's very basic, but they work. So I'm going to type if. Now, to signify our variable, we're going to have to enclose it in percent signs. So percent option percent. Now we're going to use the is equal to operator, and the is equal to operator in most programming languages is just two equal signs in a row. If it's equal to apple, you don't have to put strings or you don't have to put quotes around it or anything. Then we're going to write go to the next class we want. And the next class that I'm going to have is going to be something called export, and this is where it's going to put all the information to. So it turns out that no matter what option they put in, I want them to go to that export class that I'm going to create. So I'm just going to paste that a couple times, and I'm just going to simply change the conditional statements here. So I'm going to make this one banana. I'm going to make this orange, and I'm going to make this grape. Alright, so now the next thing I'm going to do is say the user puts in a bunch of random gibberish, or they misspell the fruit, or whatever. I'm just going to, instead, because normally if they do that, the program's not going to have any idea what to do. So I'm just going to put in a little else clause here. And in this case, in batch scripting, you don't actually have to specify else. You just simply put in go to, and I'm going to tell it to just return back to the main clause if it doesn't know what else to do. Alright, so I need to make my second class here, and that is going to be my export class. So I'm going to jump down here and create my class by, again, :export. Alright. Now, what I want it to do is take the option that the user specified and input it into a text file. So I'm going to write echo, which is, again, going to display certain string of text. I'm going to have that string of text say you chose, and then I'm going to insert my variable by going percent option percent. I'm going to put a period and say good choice. And then in order to get that text, to get this string of text here into a specified text file or file of your type, your choosing, whatever, I'm going to enter in this little right caret here, this little greater than sign or whatever you call it. And now I'm going to put in quotes the path of where this file should go. Now this would be where you put in like a specified target for a report or whatever. This is if you have a variable that the user puts in that generated path report, you would just substitute that in here. But in this case, I'm just going to stick with something simple and just tell it to go straight to my personal desktop. So users ejme/desktop. End it in quotes, and then I'm actually going to have it immediately start up that text file. So I'm going to do echo. I'm going to go ahead and as you know before, actually what I need to do here is I'm doing that. I'm just going to make that a little space there. In order to start up that text program, as before, like we did with that paint program a long time ago, we do start, and then we're just going to put in that path, c:/users/ejme/desktop, and actually I need to give that report a name. So I'm going to do /, and we're going to call this fruit. So fruits.txt. We're going to tell it we're going to put it in a txt file, and so I need to put that down here as well. Fruits.txt. Alright, then I'm going to tell it to pause, and there we go. I'm also going to go ahead and do another clear in this class just so that this isn't going to be overlaid on top of the choose a fruit main class here. Alright, so this should be good to go. It's a very basic script, but however, it kind of demonstrates what you can do with batch scripting as far as have it request information or input from the user, process that input, and do something with it. So you can go ahead and apply it to something like creating your own find extension program or user manager program, or whatever you want to do with it that you might think might be helpful in CyberPatriot. So I'm going to go ahead and save this now on the desktop as fruit.bat. Okay, I'm going to save it. Alright, pull this down here. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. I'm just going to go ahead and run it. Alright, in the title bar we've got choose a fruit. It tells me to choose a fruit. It looks all nice and neat. It's not cluttered. So I'm just going to go ahead and demonstrate first of all what happens if you just put in random gibberish. Hit enter, and it just simply returns you back to that main class. Nothing really happens or comes of it. I'm also going to show you that it has to be very specific. So as you notice, each of the first letters are all in capital letters. So if I do in lowercase apple, nothing happens. But if I do capital A for apple, it works. It generates my report. It tells me I chose apple. Good choice. I'm going to close over it. And then it's telling me to press any key to continue. It cleared everything off the previous class. Hit enter, and the program ends. Now you can also edit it and tell it, you know, once all that is said and done, after it pauses, go back to the main class. Oh, no, not the main class, yes, like the state, but the main class. Okay. So now if I run it again, let's say I do orange this time. It tells me I chose orange, good choice. Close that, and then it takes me back to the main class. So you get a basic feel on how simple batch scripting can be used to create your own miniature programs that aid you throughout CyberPatriot. Okay, and now I have this report here on my desktop that I can have forever and ever and refer back to it if need be. So I hope you enjoyed my little, I guess like 50-minute video on batch scripting, this little tutorial. I hope you found it helpful, found some use to it for those of you who haven't really been exposed to this type of thing. I just want to show you that there are simpler ways to do things during CyberPatriot. And you know how precious time is. We only have 6 hours and they can be used up very quickly. So it's very important that you use every moment, every minute, every second to your advantage. So doing simple scripting, whether it is to just go ahead and knock out a list of things that you know will get you points, or to just create your own little programs to help you find things or manage things easier. Whatever it is you need, batch scripting, I think, is personally the way to go there, considering you can pretty much do anything via the command line in Windows, much like Ubuntu. I encourage you to go out there on Google. There are tons of resources out there that teach you more things that you can do with batch scripting, with simple Windows command line encoding, whatever. There's just so many different things you can do. I just wanted to make sure I exposed you to a little bit, and really just more on how to establish and how to set up the syntax for batch programming. There's one thing I will say. You notice here that if I actually right click on my little things here, these are actually just exe files here. What I recommend that you do after you finish creating a bat program is convert it to an executable. I use a program called bat2exe. It's a very simple program, and the reason why I recommend you do that is because sometimes Windows can be a little finicky about running batch files from foreign sources. I've had times where it rejects it and it won't allow me to do it because Windows tends to block foreign batch files. So I just recommend that, you know, for simplicity's sake, that you just go ahead and convert it into an exe. You usually have a little bit easier time running it that way. But once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope this was of some use to you. I apologize for my awkwardness throughout the video. I normally don't do video tutorials, but I figured this would be a lot easier if I just showed it to you on how to do it instead of trying to write up a giant document on how to do it. And that is about it. Good luck next year, guys. Bring home the platinum division for Chantilly.